Hey everyone, we're going to go ahead and jump right in because there is not that much time. But we're getting started here with my first Division A cast here. We're in A West in NGS here. So starting off with our matchup between Minion Miners and Wholesome Halfwits, both respectable teams looking at last season. Since right now we are in week 2, we don't have that much info. So looking at last season, you can see Minion Miners went ahead and finished in as the 7th seed, whereas we saw the Wholesome Halfwits finishing as the 6th seed. In the most recent matchup, Wholesome Halfwits did win that 2-0, so we'll have to see how that turns out this time. But for the moment, we're going to go ahead and get our teams into the lobby here. I'm trying to manage the lobby at the same time, so you'll have to bear with me for the moment. But yeah, I'm excited for this. It's my first time casting Div A, so I'm excited for it. 2 respectable teams, been in Div A for a little bit here, so I am excited to see how these guys do. Here, left should be for us. So our left team is going to be Minion Miners. Sorry, I'm trying to manage a lobby here at the same time, so I'm not great at this. All right. So looking at our information here so far. Yep. Oh, I'm messing everything up. All right. So sorry, we're getting our teams in here, so it's gonna take a second. A little bit of messing up team members here, but I'm trying to get this going. But looking at our map so far, we saw the coin flip going in favor of thank you, Benjamin, for that. We saw the coin flip going in favor of Minion Miners. They chose to go for first pick here, so they went ahead and banned out Battlefield and Sky Temple, whereas we saw Wholesome Halfwits ban out Tomb and Towers. I believe I got those teams right. And then take us to Cursed Hollow. They might have to correct me on that. Unfortunately, I did not have that much time to prep, so we kind of rushed into this. Gonna be fun though. Just waiting on teams at the moment. Let me go ahead and post again. All right, there we go. Now we should be going ahead and getting our teams in. Nice. Looks like we've got some good portraits going on. But yeah, we're going to be jumping in here soon. So this is I expect this to be a close matchup. Like I said, they finished 6th and 7th. I believe, or 7th and 6th respectively. I don't remember the exact order, but pretty even matchup between these 2 teams, I would expect. All right, let me see now. All right, Marsh Hole should be there. Perfect. Should have Crooked Smile. Not in the... Oh, here, there he is. Okay. Sorry, one moment. I'm getting all kinds of confused here by the by the lobby here. So here, let me just look something up real quick. Oh, or I'll accidentally close stuff. All right. Swap with. I think that. Let me see. Moment. Making sure I have sides right in my setup. All right, I gotta make sure. I think we might have sides swapped. Alrighty here. So, Minion miners who are on the left should be Marshall. Okay, that is correct. Oh, so, I don't know why, but it just decided to load in the players wrong for me. Streaming app loaded in players wrong. My bad for the confusion. Everything looking right, including FP. Alright, gonna just consult the teams. These teams obviously know each other better than I do. They've been around for a while. Both in the same... Okay, perfect. Gotta switch that up. So it looks like what I need to do here is swap, I believe. So I think this is what we're actually going to be looking at here. Minion miners being the map picks. And then looking at... Yeah, so... sorry. Bit of a mess up there with Soothsayer. I think I just must have loaded it a bit wrong and it got some of the players mixed up, but now we're ready to go looking at this for the map selections. So first pick, gonna be going over to the Wholesome Halfwits, where Minion miners decided to take us to Cursed Hollow. Alright, perfect. So we're gonna be going ahead and hopefully jumping in soon. Gonna give the teams as much time as they need to strategize here, as this is a matchup that is not new to either side. I would expect both teams to come into this with some strategies that they have planned, as well as maybe some spicy stuff, trying to throw the other team off a little bit. We'll have to see what we have in store for us. I'm certain it's going to be great, and we will hopefully jump in as soon as these teams are ready. For the moment, though, for those of you who missed it, looking at standings so far, I guess I can show this. These are the standings so far for the season. Each of these teams has only played one match so far, so not really too much to look at. Unfortunately, they have both kind of not done great in their first matchup. This is a double round robin division, so each of these teams will be playing each other twice throughout the season, and we're going to be looking at the second week matchup, so not too much. Looks like one of the teams has lost their captain, so they're working on it. But as soon, looks like both teams are ready. Perfect. We're gonna go ahead and be jumping in to our first draft here on Cursed Hollow. Thanks everyone for coming out. Let's go ahead and get into it. Once the game loads in, there we are. Perfect. Cursed Hollow, of course, very macro focused map. Looking for bans onto an Abathur potentially. Or the global heroes are always very strong, but also looking at a bunch of camp and especially boss pressure, the boss being the main win condition for most teams on this map, where you use the curse to kind of weaken structures and then try and push in with a boss, or after winning a significant team fight. We are going to see, starting off, the ban onto Falstad. That's a pretty standard ban, again, for the map. So not surprised by that. And an Ana ban is a very just meta-based ban, not wanting to have to deal with the potential for a nano boost and how much damage can be put out with that. They're just going to go ahead and get rid of it. Next ban going to be coming in here from our right team, and it's going to be onto Zool. And I guess normally you see that from the second pick, but ever since the most recent patch, there have been some changes as to what maybe people consider to be ban worthy, and so we're gonna see in this case the Zool banned out from the first pick team because they want to make sure it isn't picked, but they're aware that it might be let through the draft if they don't ban it themselves, so they're just gonna play it safe and get rid of it themselves. Li Ming gonna be the first pickup here, and that's a look into the very team fight oriented strategy that you might see on this map, as being able to win those team fights and get the objective can lead to quite a strong snowball. But speaking of team fight, Johanna and Rhaegar being picked up here, threatening the potential of a Bloodlust composition, which of course is always terrifying to try and go up against. So we'll have to see if they pull that out, if they just maybe go for a normal composition here, or what's going to happen. with that Rhaegar. As very solid starts from both teams. ETC and Stukov going to be the pickup now for Wholesome Halfwits as we go into the mid bands here. Some macro needed for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. They've got a really strong base for team fighting, but their macro potential right now not the best, so maybe a ban onto a DPS such as Greymane, or potentially a ban onto an offlaner such as Blaze. So that's a great ban that we see coming out there, and I'm certain these teams are familiar with each other's heroes pools better than I am, as we're going to see the Greymane banned out here, denying that potential for the synergy with the Bloodlust, as that's an auto attack hero who can get a lot of value from it, who also provides quite a bit of burst to the draft. Raynor going to be picked up here. Exterminator is super strong against the bosses, and Raynor is of course a strong pick for that Bloodlust potential. So no surprise there, getting picked up by Bruther. Bruther? I'm not sure. I'm gonna go with Bruther because of the hero name. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. But then we're gonna see Ragnaros coming out. That is a very aggressive macro-focused pick. Can be squishy, can be gankable, but with the recent buffs to the Sulfurous Smash, we'll have to see if maybe he goes for that over the Lava Wave. I personally am a big fan of Sulfurous Smash, but the final segments of the draft here are going to be Phoenix and Tyrael for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits, so looking for the Sanctification and maybe an offlane ETC with the Global here. We'll have to see if some heroes get swapped up or what happens there. But I really like the draft. I think very strong. Phoenix, hard to play, but can get a ton of value if played well. So we'll have to see what you guys think as we're going to jump into this draft here. Or as we're going to jump into our first game here any moment now. Let me go ahead and throw out the poll and see what chat thinks for our first match. Yep, and it is going to be a switch here. So my guess is Tyrael going to be the main tank. But we'll see. Maybe it's an offlane ETC or offlane Tyrael. That's definitely an option here as well. One thing I think is going to be significant is looking at the camp focus during the early stages of this game. If we see a lead coming out thanks to the Rhaegar and the Raynor being able to do camps very quickly, that could really kind of change up this matchup. Although looking at it, we've got a very melee heavy draft from the side of Minion Miners, so Tyrael will definitely be able to help in the team fights against that, as well as Block Party from ETC can really help against the potential there for a Bloodlust. But we'll have to see what ends up happening here. As embarrassingly, I have forgotten to set my hotkey. Boom. Luckily, that's a quick fix. We're going to jump into our first map here, starting off with our left team, going to be the Minion Miners. We're looking at, as I'm messing all the things up here. Alright. We're looking at Wesker playing the Johanna, Marshall on the Ragnaros, Himibo on Thrall, Bruther on Raynor, and Sir Mac of Cheese playing Rhaegar. Against them is going to be the Wholesome Halfwits, led by Dr. Jelly on Tyrael, Freckle Pants on Stukov, G Money Drums on Li Ming, Crooked Smile on Phoenix, and Tribulation playing ETC. Looks like offlane's gonna be headed to by Phoenix and Ragnaros, while sprays are thrown out by both sides in the mid lane. Showing the friendliness, showing the familiarity. That's what you love to see here in NGS. It is going to be the Exterminator that I mentioned. That's going to be able to give a lot of camp pressure to Himibo here on his Raynor, as that actually got swapped up, and I totally misread that. I was looking at the heroes there, so sorry about that. But for the moment, just going to be clearing the waves as camps are not quite up. Actually, it looks like Rhaegar going to immediately be going into the top siege camp here for his team. That is one of the strengths here for Rhaegar, is that he is able to clear camps exceptionally well. And with Raynor coming to help him now, that camp should be cleared very quickly. Thrall for the moment being careful. He knows that Tyrael was missing, but as soon as Tyrael shows, he's able to step up there, working on stacking his Echo of the Elements, which is already at 11 out of 20 stacks on, doing a great job there. We have the advanced targeting, I believe it is, coming out for Phoenix. We'll have to see how they're able to stack that, if they're able to get some intense Q damage coming out in the late game. Can be very oppressive against a heavy melee comp with the slow and the... really, it does a surprising amount of damage, especially if you're able to stack that. So we'll see. Have to watch that as well when it comes to the stacking quests in this game. But for the moment, both camps already out for the side of Minion Miners, who are favored here by chat 4 out of 4, going in favor of the Minion Miners. We'll have to see if they are able to take it. At the very beginning of last season, these teams faced off, and it did go in favor of the Wholesome Halfwits. But I believe in chat. I think that chat probably knows well about these teams. And I like the comp with the Bloodlust here. We'll have to see if it comes out on top, as Bruisers finally picked up for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits, but their entire front wall has been dropped by the camp pushing in for the side of our blue team. So a very effective early push there. As the first tribute going to be spawning, Thrall trying to deal with the Siege Giants here, but struggling a little bit thanks to Tyrael being able to shield that wave, make it hard to clear while keeping up on mana. Looks like he already used his tap even. Luckily, he has already finished out Echo of the Elements. That's going to give him a huge boost in sustain, especially thanks to the Mana Tide here. Going to give him some mana. Classic Thrall build, what you would expect, but always like to highlight how it is being used well. As for the moment, the rotation to objective is much faster for Wholesome Halfwits, and it looks like the Minion Miners are willing to just give this one up here. And they are, but now, push coming in the bottom lane, and as we look at the stats a bit, some really heavy siege damage coming in from Li Ming. That's something that she's been able to do in the mid lane and other lanes as she's rotating around, but now a lot of it coming out in the bottom lane here is Thrall not quite able to handle it. That being said, in the top lane, Raynor and Rhaegar alongside Marshall on the Ragnaros have been able to put a lot of pressure onto this fort and gonna force the rotation out there. So both teams playing pretty well around getting some early structure damage, kind of just rotating around each other, looking for the macro advantage. Neither really wanting to fight too much, as level 7s are in for both sides. You can go ahead and take a look at talents there. Will, of course, be the Calamity for Li Ming, a very big power spike, as well as the Swift Retribution for Tyrael. That will give them a lot more team fight presence on the side of the Wholesome Halfwits.
The choice is simple.
Tribute spawning in now. Gonna see a favorable position this time for the side of the Minion Miners, especially since they will be able to get out this siege camp, which will be pushing the far lane against the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. So I wouldn't be surprised, given that Wholesome Halfwits have already won tribute, I would not be surprised to see them just kind of poke this a little bit, but ultimately give it up. Although it does look like with the rotation of ETC, they are definitely considering trying to fight for this one. We'll have to see how it turns out here, as Himibo gonna start the channel. Stalls are being used, but it looks like at the moment the Minion Miners are just looking to try and avoid fighting, or maybe trying to get a pick on the side, as Crooked Smile gonna get chunked heavily by Thrall and Ragnaros there. Great flank onto Phoenix there. Has his one warp to escape, but with the pressure that did come out, it is going to be enough for the side of the Minion Miners to take that tribute, and they will immediately move onto their boss. This is a move that you see decently frequently, especially when you have something like a Raynor here who can chunk into these bosses extremely well. If you're able to take it early, you can make a rotation onto the enemy team's boss, and that looks like that's what they're going to do, is they get that out early, and there's no response from the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. They did not go for their own, and even if they did, I'm not sure they would have had the race to get it down anywhere near as quickly with the likes of Phoenix and Li Ming, as opposed to the Exterminator Raynor. And now a potential invade onto this boss, as they know that the DPS and Stukov are currently defending the bottom lane. Gonna try to steal the boss away here. Tyrael and ETC gonna try and stall, and it looks like successfully so, as boss is not quite being leashed, but not being forced, and now Marshall taking a good bit of damage. Level 10s are in for the side of Minion Miners, but they're not gonna force. Benjamin saying, or we're just a bunch of fanboys and girls. So it looks like maybe some Minion Miners fans in the chat, and that's why we saw a bit of a bias in the votes. But regardless, I'm happy to have some people here. Thanks for coming out, of course, as we're going to see level 10s coming in for both sides. Judgment actually the choice for Tyrael here, not opting for the Sanct to try and fight into the Bloodlust, but the Flailing Swipe will be there to deny it. Ooh, and Planet Cracker also the choice. Looking for a sniper comp there, but unfortunately moving out of vision so that the Judgment didn't go off, and now with the Falling Sword coming in, Stage Dive not getting much effect. Flailing Swipe going to use for the disengage on the Bloodlust, but it won't be enough as Dr. Jelly on the Tyrael going to be first blood in this game. And with that, Minion Miners looking to capture this tribute. Tribulation on the ETC, gonna get one poke out with the face melt there, but I don't expect to see any more, and that is going to be the case as we have now 2 out of 3 tributes for the Minion Miners. Bruiser Camp did get picked up, so gonna push out the middle lane, but I would expect Raynor to be able to make quick work of that. And he will, as in the bottom lane, that boss did manage to get about half of the fort as it was left alone before it was able to be killed, just to make sure that the top boss was not quite stolen. Speaking of which, we're going to have now Tyrael checking the bush there. This is a bit of a risky move. We do have the tribute just nearby, but they see Thrall in the bottom lane. They're not going to be too worried about it. And they're going to go ahead and grab the boss on the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. Try and get it out before this objective so that they aren't risking fighting over a curse and losing out on that. Marshall actually looking and checking too quickly. The Judgment comes out, and that is a quick pick onto the Ragnaros. And now it's going to be a boss and the denial of the curse, as that is a kill coming in for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. Bruiser Camp pushing into the middle lane, but the rotation is there as Wholesome Halfwits not worried about a fight, gonna rotate 3 off immediately to make sure that that mid lane gets defended, as the macro pressure that has been put up by the Minion Miners has been really intense, getting most of the top and bottom forts here and pressuring in the middle lane pretty well, as alongside that, and Raynor showing how powerful Executioner is here. Alongside the Siege Giant's gonna pretty much instantly clear out that boss. Bruther on the Thrall caught out. Judgment isn't there, but it looks like it isn't gonna matter as the slow from Stukov not enough. The Earthquake popped to keep Thrall alive, and that is going to mean that we're gonna have the 13 talent advantage here for the side of the Minion Miners as this final tribute spawns. Both teams at 2 out of 3. Favorable positioning for sure on the side of the Minion Miners, and already getting a lot of poke out onto Dr. Jelly on the Tyrael, with ETC trying to clear out the top lane after those Siege Giants did manage to take the fort there. That being said, advantage not going to be that long as level 13s will be in. Holy Ground, of course, very powerful tool for defending boss points, but I'm not sure that they're going to be able to make this fight happen. That being said, the Stage Dive, the Planet Cracker, and the Judgment all come out onto Rhaegar, and it's going to kill him. That is a kill onto the healer, and even with Ragnaros poking here, I don't think Minion Miners can really secure this. We'll have to see, though, as there is some good potential for poke here. Himibo, though, has to be careful. Split off to the side, taking a bunch of chunk from the Li Ming, played by G-Money Drums. And that is indeed going to be the first curse of the game coming out for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. Playing the pick comp pretty well here, able to get the picks when it matters. And even looking for more here is the Virulent Reaction going to lock down Thrall, and he is going to disappear, eating that orb at max range. Thrall is not a high hit point hero. He has a lot of sustain, but if you're able to deny him that sustain through his trait, he will die. But speaking of dying, Phoenix going to drop as the counter engage comes from Westgra, from Marshall, and it's going to catch Stukov as well. Great back and forth between these two teams. Very aggressive play and catching picks left and right here as this objective is going on. Lava Wave again coming out in the top lane, going to deny the potential pressure into that lane. They want to keep it pushed out as much as they can, because that is the boss lane of the Wholesome Halfwits. If they're able to keep that pushed out on the side of the Minion Miners, that is pretty much denying one of the major win cons. That being said, looks like this curse is still going to manage to get the fort in the middle and bot lane, but boss coming out as soon as it comes back up for the side of the Minion Miners and pushing into an already weakened bottom fort. So excellent play from them so far. Looking at the stats so far, Thrall actually holding the highest hero damage for his team and the game, as he's been able to get that poke out with the crash, or with the I cannot for the life of me, Chain Lightning. There we go. I could not for the life of me remember the name of that ability, even though I was just playing Thrall the other day. But yeah, being able to get some really effective poke in and topping the stats there, as well as obviously you have the solo lane trade, always able to get a good bit of damage into each other there. But both sides putting up pretty decent damage numbers. ETC taking advantage of the global, pushing in the top lane while his team is down 16 and not really able to fight. Just going to go ahead and defend the boss safely here. And they should be able to pick up 16s shortly here with this with a few more waves, as now it's actually the Minion Miners who are kind of pushed in. They took the boss and managed to get the fort and the front wall at the keep, but their other two lanes were heavily pushed during that time, resulting in this pretty neutral phase in the map. That being said, with 2 out of 3 tributes already loaded in for the Minion Miners, I would be worried if I was the Wholesome Halfwits, and I would have to be careful. But someone else who needs to be careful is Ragnaros, as he was definitely aware of the danger there, but not going to be able to get out in time, as the engage came in with the Judgment and completely destroyed Ragnaros. But with all of those ults being used, the Bloodlust is coming out, as well as the Earthquake looking for a counter engage. Good flailing swipe will deny it though, and it's going to be a free kill pretty much for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. Boss being hovered around here now. Minion Miners know that if Wholesome Halfwits goes to the tribute, they can just steal the boss away, and that if they don't, it's going to result in a curse. That being said, the global is in play for the Wholesome Halfwits, and that's going to allow them to pressure both points at once without being too worried about it. And Raynor as well had to defend in the bottom lane, where we did see the Siege Giants pushing in. So that's going to take the attention of the Minion Miners away long enough for the boss to be taken by the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. That's going to push into the top lane, okay, but there's still Siege Giants pushing in, which should get some pretty decent damage in. Ragnaros ulting down the bottom lane, but a team fight is being forced as the stage dive comes down, but Tyrael gets rooted, not able to use the Judgment, and is blown up. That is one of the struggles there, is Tyrael is a pretty squishy tank without his Sanctification, and not able to follow up the stage dive, so that's going to be a quick kill and a curse now coming in for our blue team here, the Minion Miners. And they're looking to pressure up in the bottom lane, where already mentioned this is their boss lane. That boss will be up in about a minute and a half here. Tribulation on the ETC doing his best to slow them down, but taking a lot of damage. The body blocks are great from Sir Mac of Cheese, and they're going to get the kill onto ETC here. That should all but secure this keep, and if Wholesome Halfwits aren't careful here, this could potentially be a game-ending push, as Ragnaros not going to be able to use his trait. Great deny there from the Li Ming. Sir Mac of Cheese able to get out though from the combo, and with Bloodlust and Earthquake out, the escape is not possible for Wholesome Halfwits, and 3 are going to drop. Only Tyrael alive to try and defend this core now. Marshall will get into that trait form, will take out Tyrael, and that is going to be game number 1 going in favor of the Minion Miners. Well played, and GG. Great first map there from both sides. I loved seeing the macro play versus the pick comp. You have great show of coordination from both teams, with the Minion Miners focusing on just always rotating around the other team, always making sure that they were pushing out and getting more structure value. Great that shows that there's great communication on that side, whereas we saw great communication on the other side in just knowing how to find picks, being able to rotate and get those kills with ults you might not see often, with stuff like the Planet Cracker and the Judgment. Always fun to see. But yeah, as Pet Wolverine says, you gotta love seeing the Bloodlust win. Ever since it's been buffed, been seeing that, and it's been pretty effective, and it shows here. Thrall, again, highest damage in the game there, though Phoenix was able to catch up, as well as Raynor doing lots of work himself. Great play from both sides, though. I'll go ahead and give the teams a moment, try and figure out what they want to go for here. And give you some time to look at the 2 level 20s which were picked. Alright, gonna go ahead and pull it back to me so I can whisper our captains here. Looks like we've got some support coming in for the Minion Miners in chat. Appreciate everyone who came out. Alright. Alright, looks like for our next map, it is going to be decided here by our blue team as Wholesome Halfwits. Sorry, again deciding to go for the first pick in this situation. So we're going to be going on over to Alterac for our next matchup. Again, giving the map pick to the team that was able to prove their macro was better there. We'll have to see if that shows to be true in this second game, or if we're able to see Wholesome Halfwits start the run back, show that they won that last series for a reason. Alright, let me link our lobby here. And we should hopefully be getting these teams in shortly for our next map. I gotta say, I think this is definitely a map where they won't be able to run quite the same strategy here from the side of our blue team, the Minion Miners, as a good few less camps on this map. Lot easier to, I mean, obviously you do really want to be able to focus onto the available camps, as they can be very, very powerful. Alright, sorry, I'm organizing a lobby again. I should tell people not to have me organize lobbies. But yeah, there's one main camp for the map which you're going to be focusing onto, and otherwise it's going to be pretty much just focusing on clearing lanes and poking at the objective, soaking up. You can definitely play around trying to get siege pressure. We saw Raynor rotating around the map a lot last game, trying to just push in wherever he could. And that is something that can definitely be effective, but there's a lot fewer camps here, and bosses are much more in the neutral zone, so you aren't going to see as much play maybe around them, especially since they aren't quite as strong on this map as on others. That being said, that's all just speculation for me. We could see these teams only focus on camps and only focus on siege, and see a similar game to last game, or an even more macro focused game. These teams are definitely at a pretty high level of play here. Oh, I'm being called out for putting someone on the wrong side. My bad. But yeah, as I was saying, we'll see. These teams definitely play at a pretty high level, only below really the heroic division here. So one of the highest levels of play that we're seeing right now, seeing the coordination coming out. Love to see that. And I'm excited as we're going to hop into our next map here pretty soon. We have R from one of our teams here, just waiting on our other team, and then we can go ahead and get started. Got some nice banter in the chat about the Judgment. Dr. Jelly, the Tyrael from last game, is saying, stop clearing the waves so much so we can judge more. Yeah, I have to agree. Like, the more judgment I get to see, the happier I am. As a someone who enjoys playing Tyrael myself, it's always fun. And similar comments being made about other heroes who maybe you see utility ults a lot more than maybe just the big damage ults. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, we don't always get to play the fun, big, light show damage ults. But hey, if you can make it work, like Wholesome Halfwits did, they did lose the map, but they made the pick comp work. So hey, if you can make it work, go for it, please. The more fun that we get to see, the better. Alright, just waiting on one team here. Looks like we have the captain AFK once again. Alright, yeah, we're just waiting on a team again. Oh, another, yeah, Falling Sword, another one that I mean, when you have the dual front line, when you have the Earthquake, when you're the team that's looking to be aggressive with the Bloodlust, you can go for Falling Sword. You can jump into the back line and say, team, I hope you're okay, because I'm not peeling for you. Because Bloodlust now allows that. Alright. We're going to go ahead and get started now into our second and potentially final map for the evening here on Alterac Pass. Minion Miners up 1, and they have been given the map pick again, which they took for the last game. We'll have to see if the Wholesome Halfwits are able to turn it around with their first pick in this game. Saw the pick comp coming out for them last time. It worked well, but not well enough. This map, maybe it'll work better. Less camps to put out pressure, and you can't really maneuver the camps as well as you can on Cursed. Cursed, of course, you can manipulate your rotations and choose when to give objectives and not, which really allowed for the Minion Miners to get an early lead. And for, I think, that very reason, we're going to see a ban onto Falstad. Taking out that global will help a lot in denying that kind of split push pressure. And we're going to see Ana banned out once again. We saw very strong Li Ming play from G Money Drums in the last game, so that's going to be banned out once again. In case they do decide to opt for that Li Ming again, this is definitely a map where you can do that. Next ban going to be coming in from the Wholesome Halfwits, not banning Zul this time, instead banning Sylvanas. They don't want, again, push pressure, as well as really strong in team fights. Sylvanas, her team fight I think is a lot of the time underappreciated by a lot of casters. Her push pressure is excellent, but her team fight is what makes her such a insane meta pick. The fact that she's able to do both is just kind of ridiculous. And the last ban going to be the same again, onto the Blaze here from the Minion Miners. So now first pick afforded to Wholesome Halfwits. They decided to go for that, and they're going to take up the Zul. Tribulation, offlane player, going for it this time, so no global unless we see a potential switch up with a 4-man Zul or a main tank Zul even here. We'll have to watch. That is something that has been played before, but looks like Minion Miners are happy to just start drafting the same draft. They're going to grab Johanna, they're going to grab Ragnaros, and force a response out of Wholesome Halfwits. Say, we beat you with this once, we can beat you with it again. Next picks are going to be here for the Wholesome Halfwits before we get into the bans, and they're going to deny the Rhaegar pick, picking it up for Freckle Pants, and then also grabbing up the ETC for the main tank, theoretically this time. Again, I'm not entirely certain. I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff with Zul. I've seen him as a main tank, I've seen him as an offlaner, I've seen him as a DPS. I think the only role I haven't seen him in is as a healer, and I think that one's understandable. We're going to see Mephisto banned out. Very strong mage in general, maybe a bit less so on this map, or this is, I guess I would say, a middling map for him. But an interesting ban, I think, overall. Probably a target ban that I'm not aware of here. as they're going to remove that from the table. And Wholesome Halfwits going to remove Stukov, the hero pick that they went for last time in the healer slot. But now that they have Rhaegar, they're going to go ahead and just get rid of it. 2 picks coming in now, and it's going to be Raynor again. And now the last picks that we saw, or the picks we saw last time, were the Thrall and the Lily. Was not what we saw, but that's what we're seeing this time. For the healer on the side of the Minion Miners, going for some blinds, going for the single target healing, helping out the low health targets first, of course. Something that can be a blessing or a curse here for Lily. Can have some very strong healing output, but doesn't quite get to choose where it goes. We'll have to see if the blinds make it worth it, though, as Greymane and Li Ming going to be the pickups to finish off the draft for the Wholesome Halfwits. Greymane going to afford a lot of siege pressure, going to take the camps quickly, and synergize very well with the Bloodlust if that is what they decide to go for in this match. Now the last pick, again, going to be Thrall here for the side of the Minion Miners, enjoying that heavy front line here. We'll have to see what you guys think. Who's going to come out on top, as we have almost the exact same draft from the Minion Miners. Will they be able to pull it off without the Bloodlust, though? I personally, I think the combination of this being a very different map from Cursed Hollow, and the fact that we see Zool and Rhaegar picked up for our red team, I think Wholesome Halfwits definitely has what it takes to bring it back in this second map and bring it to 3-map series. We'll have to see if I'm right, or if the Div B caster is a little bit less experienced than the Div A players and gets proven wrong. We'll see, though. And we'll of course keep an eye on chat as well, see what they think is going to come out on top here, as we're going to go ahead and jump into our second matchup here between these two teams. We're going to have the Minion Miners led by Wesgra on the Johanna, Marshall on the Ragnaros, Himibo on Raynor, Bruther on Thrall, and Sir Mac of Cheese on Lily. Against them is the Wholesome Halfwits, looking to turn it around with Dr. Jelly on the ETC, Freckle Pants on the Rhaegar, G Money Drums on the Li Ming, Tribulation on the Zool, and Crooked Smile playing the Greymane here on Alterac Pass. Again, Exterminator picked up, gonna get out that siege camp very quickly, which is a main focus for the map. As we have, looks like maybe a cocktail build starting up here for Greymane. We'll have to watch, see if he does go into that further with some of the stacking talents later on. For the moment, though, we're seeing similar start to last game. Both teams just kind of rotating off. Zool going into the top lane as Thrall tried to get a few echo stacks in the middle lane. Not quite able to, though. We'll have to watch this off lane, see how Bruther is able to pair into the Zool, as that is not the easiest matchup. Definitely can be difficult against Zool, thanks to the fact that he can focus his minions onto you and get really just free poke off whenever he's able to throw out that Q or that E. Camp immediately being started up for the red team. Wholesome Halfwits doing a great job of getting there, knowing when it was going to spawn, using the wave clear of Zool to get an advantage on the rotations, with ETC even rotating into the bottom lane. That being said, Exterminator is here for the side of the Minion Miners, so we'll have to see who gets theirs out quicker. It is going to be faster for the Wholesome Halfwits. Greymane and Rhaegar are no slouches on camp clearing, but it's not as far behind as you might think for the side of the Minion Miners. Going to push in just a little bit behind, and who knows, some might argue that's even a good thing, as you're able to clash the camps a little bit closer to your own gate and get a quicker clear onto them. But that being said, Wesgrog going to push in here and look for some aggressive play, as we have the 3v3 in the mid lane. Looks like chat is split 50-50, 2 in favor of the Minion Miners and 2 in favor of Wholesome Halfwits. We'll have to see if we'll have to see if chat is right, I guess. But meanwhile, we've got Crooked Smile getting just peppered by Himibo on the Raynor, taking a lot of damage, forcing out an early tap here. We do see the block party coming in for ETC again, trying to deny the auto attack damage when you've got a Ragnaros, a Thrall, and a Raynor. There is plenty of that to come. So, excellent pickup there. Making sure to try and deny as much of that pressure as he can. I'm certain that was the pick last game as well. But I'd like to point out that build fact as well as we have a full blue build, as they call it, or the Scythe build coming in for Zool. So looking to focus on the heavy melee aspect of the Minion Miner's composition and exploit that fact to become an unstoppable terror, which will really punish that heavy melee team. For the moment, neither team focusing onto the objective too much. Dr. Jelly gonna try and just get a bit of damage onto these minions. If you're able to kill them, that is nice, because you can just try and really sneak the capture onto the objective. Ragnaros gonna come up to tell him to cut it out, but he'll be able to get away just fine here. And Zool has been keeping up the double soak this entire time, getting his team a little bit of an XP lead, as both teams actually going to be pushing out the middle lane here. If you look at that XP, Zool already at 4,000 Rag, pretty close behind, but not quite matching. As actually when it comes to Minion XP, only a tiny lead here for the red team. Only a minion or two ahead, but they also have a bit of a lead on the objective just because of these minions being down. Especially with this first objective, that's a pretty big advantage because you can generally get 10 seconds or about a third of the objective if you catch the enemy team when they're clearing a camp or something else which is going to occupy some of their time, and just get a quick free capture onto that since the minions are dead. We'll have to see if they decide to go for that or what, as Zool heavily punishing Bruther in the top lane, not be able to finish his level 1 anywhere near as quickly this game. And Raynor getting caught a little bit too. That is showing that Zool, even post-nerf, still puts out a ton of damage and gaining some respect here. Marshall needs to be a bit careful. ETC rotating in. Mount going to be cancelled out and the power slide comes out. Marshall going to be able to get a little bit of a heal, but he's got to be careful here. He's going to barely escape and puts on a bit of damage onto G Money Drums as well with the Shifting Meteor there. Or the... I think Shifting Meteor is a talent. Living Meteor. There we go. It's alive apparently. But meanwhile, gonna see both teams again just focusing on their camps, and that's really until a little bit later on, the main focus of the map is definitely these siege camps. Having Maelstrom weapon actually is a bit of an interesting pick here for Thrall. Gonna try and stack up his auto attack damage to make sure that Zool isn't able to sustain through all of the melee, and try and make sure he's hitting the ETC and the Greymane when they come in to chunk them pretty hard. It definitely can be a very strong talent, especially with the reward there, getting some permanent movement speed increase, but we'll have to see whether or not he's able to complete it first, as Dr. Jelly, as I mentioned, able to just sneak the camp capture and start off the 30-second timer for his team, thanks to those little minions being dead. And that will get them about 10 seconds, as I expected. Crooked Smile might die for it, but Ancestral, the level 10 choice for Rhaegar, going to come out first and save him. But Dr. Jelly not going to be as lucky, and neither will Freckle Pants, as the Lava Wave and the Water Dragon come in and take them out. Also looking at Raynor's Raider, Falling Sword, and Thrall currently holding. Meanwhile, on our red side with the Wholesome Halfwits, we're going to see go for the throat, the Wave of Force, Mosh Pit, the Skeletal Mages, and as already mentioned, the Ancestral Healing. And it is going to be Sundering looking for just an extra Mosh interrupt from the side of Bruther on the Thrall. It is Cocktail build here, and already about halfway done. That's going to be a lot of poke here from Greymane. Have to watch, see how Crooked Smile does there as he's getting chunked. Mosh Pit comes in and Zool does too, but the fight is very split. Marshall caught out, but actually getting the kill on to Greymane first, and trying to escape, won't be able to, but it is still a 2-for-1 trade, as we did see Zool fall as well. Alright, objective was captured there for our blue team. The Minion Miners again coming out with the early lead, I would say. I guess last game was very even until we saw them take their curse, but they seemed very comfortable and confident in giving the curse in the first game. And gonna be able to start off with the first objective and try and push in with that. We'll have to see how effective they are with that, with the Rainer looking in the bottom lane, but gonna have to back up thanks to 2 of the enemy team. Make that 3 being here, and Himibo not gonna be able to get out. That's a reset for Li Ming as Greymane rotates in as well to make it a 3v2, but Ragnaros, for all intents and purposes, was being ignored, so you can almost just call that one a 3v1. Front wall going to be cleared out here in the middle lane, as well as in the top lane as the lava wave comes out. Himibo says, wow, my team is doing nothing and there's 3 bot. You hate to see it. A bit of a friendly banter there as Bruther needs to be careful. Tribulation rotating in, and I think this is a dead Thrall. Doesn't have that bonus movement speed, and he's just going to go ahead and run into the fort, let himself die. He knows that it's happening, and with that, boss being started by the Wholesome Halfwits. We'll have to see. With the death timer, I think they definitely can, but in the bottom lane, Ragnaros has been pushing in against Li Ming, who cannot match his wave clear. And meanwhile, Rainer with Exterminator is racing this boss down almost as quickly as the red team is. That's going to be a bottom fort for sure for the side of the Minion Miners. We'll have to see what Wholesome Halfwits are able to get with their boss here as it pushes in the top lane. Builds continuing, as you can see, currently 20 out of 40 stacks on the Maelstrom weapon, and still 7 out of 15 for the, I believe it's Incendiary Elixir, indeed it is, for Greymane, as they're going to go ahead and push in this top lane. Looking at stats, Thrall putting in, again, lots of damage, but Zul holding the most for the game so far. Water Dragon and Falling Sword come out to force the disengage as Ragnaros using his trait to absorb some of the boss hits here. Gonna get popped out of it, and fort at half health, but this boss should be able to be raced down, I believe, before the fort falls. Maybe not. It's gonna be close. Boss will fall though. And Siege Camp was picked out by Rainer there, not there for the defense, so that he could get that Siege Camp. It's going to be cleared out insanely fast by Zul, able to just keep holding down his W button and nuke that wave as the friendly Siege Camp for the Wholesome Halfwits comes out as well. Top fort actually falling as the counter push comes in with only a few members in the top lane from the side of Wholesome Halfwits. So again, Minion Miners showing their macro presence and using the lava wave to keep this bottom lane where we saw the boss pushing and getting half of the front wall at the keep. So they're going to use lava wave to keep that pushed up. Marshall needs to be careful here against this enemy team. Dr. Jelly going to get the power slide. The Calamity comes in from Li Ming, and Marshall turns it around before he dies, killing Li Ming alongside Thrall's help, but Rainer will be the next to fall, and that means that the main DPS here probably are going to be falling for the side of the Minion Miners, so they're going to have to back up and give this objective for the moment to the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. They're going to start their own channel. Level 16s are in for both teams. You can see just there, Greymane already up to 11 now from the 7 he had been at, so getting a lot of splash damage in there, and even with Li Ming down, able to carry the fight for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. And now, pushing in again, Lily gets hit by the Bone Cage, hit by the Power Slide, and Sir Mac of Cheese not able to get away. And that is going to all but secure this objective as Rainer just now respawning. Gonna be pushing in for the Wholesome Halfwits now. Alright, so now looking at that, we're going to have Li Ming just clearing out the bottom lane again. Unfortunately, put to the wave clear duty, not allowed to fight. Says they're saying Greymane and Zul push harder, so we're gonna keep them with us. That being said, there is some really good D push potential here from the side of the Minion Miners. You have Thrall, who has some great damage. You have Dr. Jelly out of position, getting caught by a root here from Thrall. Westgrot trying to slow him down. Not going to be able to, though. Actually, now Weskron may be in danger. Did already use that Iron Skin and now going to have to use Falling Sword just to escape. Lava Wave coming out in the top lane as Raynor cleared out middle and is rotating bot to clear that out. Top is the focus here for the Wholesome Halfwits, though. They want to get some damage onto this keep. They're not going to be able to, though, as the lack of a wave is going to allow for the objective to just get nuked here by the Minion miners. Thank you, Chad, for the sub. I can't imagine casting. I've done it once or twice. Alright, going to have a little bit of just pressure from both sides in the middle lane here. Siege camp being started up for the Wholesome Halfwits. 7 seconds until it respawns for the Minion miners. And Zul trying to push out the bottom lane. Looks like a rotation potentially coming in for him. We'll have to see if it actually catches him. Falling Sword is up for the engage if they really want to go for it, but they're not going to be confident in it. So just going to let him walk away. And now back up before a potential fight starts. That being said, Dr. Jelly is in range. Going to try and push Johanna into the mud pit, but has the unstoppable, and they're going to be able to walk away just fine. Bruther, though, gets caught by the root with a bit of a weird rotation. Cleanse comes out from Lily. That is one of her upsides. Has a very powerful cleanse there in the Let's Go. Able to heal and cleanse on a short cooldown. The Incendiary Elixir finished out for Greymane. That is a pretty strong spike there for him. He's going to be putting out a lot of slash, but the Sundering gets used onto Dr. Jelly, who then interrupts Ragnaros. So, going to deny the potential chain stun from the Molten Core form. And lots of abilities used from both sides. We saw the Sundering as well as the Skeletal Mages coming out. So those will be down for a little bit as the objective spawns down there. But both teams still kind of sitting around mid lane, and ETC taking a bit of damage here. Not going to fall as Lava Wave pushing into the bottom lane. Going to try and continue to pressure that while we see Himibo on the Raynor says, who needs objective? I have Exterminator. Let's take a boss. Objective will be started out for the Wholesome Halfwits. I'm certain they're aware of the boss being started, but going to choose to get the objective and defend the bottom lane where we did see the Lava Wave take out that wave. Well-timed. Well-timed use there from the side of our Ragnaros player, whose name I totally recall. Marshall, of course, the captain for the Minion miners. But boss also going to be completed in time here. Maybe. Oh, the Sundering comes out, and Johanna's going to be able to get onto this point. Ragnaros and Thrall are not quite here, but the clumping allows for the Water Dragon to do a lot, but Johanna will be the first to fall, and that's a reset for Li Ming. She's going to take out Thrall. Sir Mac of Cheese is being chased and falls as well, and Marshall is caught in a bad place. Ragnaros will not be making it out of this. It's just a matter of time before they die, and that is a 4-for-nothing fight for the Wholesome Halfwits. They're going to take this boss, take the objective, and push in now as level 20s are here for both teams. We have the Mortal Wound, a very powerful talent here for Zul, going to deny most of the healing that Lili gives out, as well as the self-sustain from some of our bruisers here on the side of... I'm not able to say, can I whisper? No. It is not banned for anyone who is watching, but looks like we're going to see Himibo just going ahead and taking out this boss as he is the sole survivor. While objective will be claimed here for the Wholesome Halfwits, second one so far this game, and a pretty late scaled one since the first objective got stalled so long. Pushing in with the 20s. Gonna have Executioner, or Execute, sorry. Executioner is the level 1. Exterminator. I've been calling it the wrong thing, I think. Alright, well that happens. We're gonna have Execute coming out for Raynor. Lots of it. That's a ridiculous damage increase. If you're able to chunk down those heroes to below half, we're going to have the second Lava Wave charge coming in for Ragnaros. I believe it's Heaven's Fury? Indeed. Always feel happy when I remember my kind of more obscure talents here, but getting that huge cooldown reduction on the ult for Johanna, we'll have to see if she just starts throwing that out, because it essentially is a basic ability at this point. already throwing it out once there, and you can see cooldown already down to 20 seconds as the team fight starts. Sundering comes out, as well as the Water Dragon Tribulation on the Zool, taking a lot of damage. He's not going to fall, though, as the Mosh Pit comes out, and Thrall will be the first death. Ragnaros in his Molten Core form is going to be able to pick off the Zool, as Westgrow on the Johanna caught on the other side. Lots of people low for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits, but it's going to be Johanna who falls. Li Ming not able to get another reset, though, and it's going to be a 2-for-2 trade, as Greymane the last to fall during that engage. Alright. Now, top lane, gonna be the most pushed in here by the objective, but no keeps have fallen. Oh, Greymane has DC'd. We'll have to see if they go for a pause here or if he'll be back momentarily. He is, he's dead, so we don't know if he just instantly reconnected, but I'm gonna assume he has, as we're not seeing a pause coming out. Yeah, he's back. There he is. Alright, but you can see the level 20s. You know him. The Double Dragon, of course. You've got the Hunter's Blunderbuss, the, Repulsion. And to think I play this here. The Storm Shield, the Mortal Wound, which I mentioned, and the second Storm Shield for Rhaegar. So that's a really powerful combo. Getting the double Storm Shield is always pretty crazy. Makes it really hard for people to get kills if you're able to time it right. As well as communicate that. Both teams just kind of playing it safe, pushing out lanes. As despite the fact that we've seen pretty much the second half of the game entirely go in favor of the Wholesome Halfwits, the map is still looking pretty even. We're seeing only a fort advantage here for them, and in levels, only a tiny experience lead. Heck, no, they're even at XP. Speaking of which, let's look at that. Looking at the XP, Zool currently holding the most for his team, but the Lava Waves from Rag have allowed him to get the most in the game so far, and Minion experience is where the Minion miners, I see the name now, are able to keep up here, as that has been pretty key here, as Himibo on the Rainer gonna get jumped on, uses the Paint Them Red on his penetrating round to just push back the Greymane and heal right back up, as objective has spawned here, and I expect for this one to be a big one. Checking out the stats, Greymane the highest in the game, followed closely by Li Ming and Thrall. Looks like both camps being taken by their respective teams, as you would expect, doing an excellent job of filling out the all-track pass checklist and just taking those whenever they exist. Falling Sword just used for the disengage. They're going to be on a longer cooldown because you're not really able to hit anyone when you just use it to escape. Speaking of escaping, Marsh Hole extended bit far, but Dr. Jelly not able to find them. Now actually a bit on an island of their own, but going to be able to retreat to their team just fine here. I'm even going to pull away stats. Let's get the full screen for this team fight here. As mid lane pushing in favor of the Wholesome Halfwits is going to lead to the Minion miners retreating to clear that out with Rainer and Thrall. Thrall, I will mention, only sitting at 31 on the Maelstrom weapon, so not getting the value he would have liked to, even with the level 16 Tempest Fury coming in, which synergizes pretty well with that. We'll have to see if he's able to finish those stacks, get the movement speed as the Skeletal Mages come out and the fight has begun. Looks like the Double Dragon going to come out next onto Tribulation, who's trying to get the resets onto his site there. Mosh Pit comes out, but Thrall able to get out, and Johanna not killed. Ragnaros using his Molten Core form to put out tons of damage, and Dr. Jelly is getting very low on the ETC. Going to get finished off there. That's a 1-for-0 trade here, and the objective is stalled at 9.5 seconds. Whew. Alright. Boss actually being started again. The Minion miners saying, this objective timer is too long. We have no reason to fight for this when we can take the bosses so extremely quickly. Pressuring the bottom lane with the Lava Wave. Again, timing it well to make sure that they're catching the wave just as it spawns there. And with this boss, I would expect them now to move on to the objective. But with that extra pressure in lane, didn't take them too much time, about 20 seconds there maybe. And they should be able to at least get a good bit of channel onto this objective as well. That being said, the poke is coming out from Li Ming, and with the camp in the middle lane, it's 4v4 over the point for the moment. But it will be started here. ETC coming back in about 10 seconds. There will be a fight for it. But we'll have to see who that fight favors, as for the moment, Wholesome Halfwits going to focus on to clearing out this boss to try and save their top keep. Shouldn't be too much of a problem there, but they are going to give up a bit of time and a bit of poke potential. As we've just got Lily healing up the minion miners. They're just chilling, taking out these objective goons. That being said, Wholesome Halfwits are moving in. Tribulation on the Zool starts the channel, almost gets it. Johanna getting chunked heavily. Double Dragon and Sundering come out, but the objective is channeled back, and Greymane is doing so much damage to this Johanna. She has to run away, and ults on pretty long cooldowns now, as we did see the Skeletal Mages as well as Sundering being used there. Lava Wave again going into this bottom lane, always forcing Zool to come push it out. Luckily, he is just the hero to do that, and is going to be able to keep that bottom keep alive. Top keep was saved from the boss, but look at both of these. They're both so dramatically low. If there is an objective coming in for the side of Minion Miners, it's definitely getting those keeps. We'll have to see, though, if they're able to get it, as there is still a team fight yet to be won for either of these teams to try to get their chance at taking the game. Chunk now being put onto ETC. Marshall using his Molten Core. Gonna try and force the fight as Crooked Smile on the Greymane, going to get hit by the root there. Cleanse a bit too early as the Double Dragon gonna come out onto him, and Greymane will be the first blood of this fight. Dr. Jelly gets a nice mosh pit, and that's gonna result in Lily falling. Reset for Li Ming, and Bruther now caught out on the Thrall, gonna use the Sundering, but it won't be enough to save him. He is going to fall as well, followed by Johanna. Resets coming in clutch. Repulsion being used, gonna get Raynor there. That's another 4-kill fight here for the Wholesome Halfwits. Only losing Greymane there, and showing both of their DPS extremely confident and able to carry the fights there. Lava Wave coming out from Marshall, gonna try and defend this keep, but the team is already here, and the Knoll camp able to survive and reduce the armor. That's gonna be the first keep down before the objective even spawns, and looks like just moving on to the top keep is the Wholesome Halfwits. Gonna try and make sure they're able to end this game as soon as possible by taking out that second armor point on the objective, so that it is low enough health, or on the core rather, not objective, so that it is low enough health for them to take out. And now with this objective coming in, I don't think there's any chance here for the side of the Minion Miners to defend this. I think this is game. There's a chance that we might see a miracle defense. Marshall and Sir Mac of Cheese are going in. We're going to see the Double Dragon as well as the Frost, or the Mages coming out. But Ragnaros is going to fall, and with the objective coming in, I don't think there's much that the Minion Miners can do. It's just going to be int on core is the call for the Wholesome Halfwits, and that is going to secure them game 2 in this series, bringing us to a game 3. Well played. Whew. I had no clue who that game was going to go to until that last fight. While fights did definitely look much stronger for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits, thanks to the Zool, I think, and putting in a lot of work there, almost matching Greymane's damage, and doing even a little bit more than Li Ming, doing a great job of setting up the fights with the Skeletal Mages, as well as being able to keep up in the soak and the D push against the Ragnaros, which can be so oppressive. Going ahead and taking a look at the talents. We can't see the quest here, but I don't believe Thrall ever completed that Maelstrom weapon, so maybe a bit of a struggle there. Maybe not what he would have liked to see from that talent choice. Alright, let me go ahead and reach out to our captain here. Figure out what they're wanting so that I can figure out what our other team is wanting. Although I'm certain they're already communicating to each other. I just like to DM them, try and figure it out myself, so I can get us updated here in the stream as soon as possible. So chat so far got the first one right. They were split 50-50 and got the 50-50 in our, well, got the 50-50, huh? they were able to, we saw Wholesome Halfwits taking it back in the second one. We'll have to see, does chat get this next one right, or do we see the accuracy just continue to fall? Who knows? Alright, so first pick is going to be the choice from the side of Minion Miners. Wanting it after not being able to win on their map pick for the second time. So now just going to wait, figure out what map we're going to see, and it's going to be Volskaya. Classic team fighty map. Not able to split push quite as much. I'm excited to see it. This is a map that I know we see a lot, but I personally love to see. But you know what? Before we jump in, let's go ahead and give us a bit of a recap looking at what has gone down so far. Minion Miners won the or lost the coin flip, so Wholesome Halfwits wanted first pick for the first map. Wholesome Halfwits banned out Battlefield and Sky, whereas Minion Miners banned out Tomb and Towers. They took us to Cursed Hollow for the first map, which they won. Wholesome Halfwits then wanted to have the first pick once again. Sorry, got a lobby link here real quick. And then that took us to Alterac, where Minion Miners were not able to win. And so we saw it going into a game 3 now, where Minion Miners have decided to switch. Well, I guess not really decided. They want the first pick now. Despite being able to be successful with the map pick in the first map, they think they're stronger on first pick, and so they're going to go for that here on this final map of Volskaya. And that is where we're at for the moment. Let me know how you're feeling about it in chat. I'm going to run some of the notifications which have gone through here. Benjamin, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And thank you, Chad, once again for the sub there. It is very much appreciated that you're willing to give your Twitch Prime to me. Alright, looks like we do have one member having to leave for work, so we're going to have a sub in for this final, or not a sub, but an on-roster sub for this final map here. The offlaner Tribulation having to leave, so we're going to have Malavial coming in to swap out, cover that for them. And I don't think that's sub notification. Oh, we've got Valerina following. Thank you. I appreciate it. Alright, I'll go ahead and let the teams know that we are ready. And we'll just wait on them. They're going to go strategize. Second draft, where we saw the Ragnaros, Raynor, Thrall, and Johanna for Minion Miners, but was not able to come out on top. So, are they going to swap it up? We will see. Looks like we're going to go for a bio break first for these teams, though. So, it's going to be a moment. So, let me know what you think in the chat. Are we going to see the exact same draft or not? Because we'll see. I think it's a possibility. I've seen it before, and I've seen it work out. If you, I've seen the first map win with comp, second map lose with comp, third map don't care, run same comp and win with it. I do think this is probably the roughest map of the 3 so far to run that kind of macro focus split push comp, but it could work out. Who knows? I don't. We'll see. All right, let me go ahead and write something down here real quick. Sorry. Just gonna make sure I'm keeping updated. So we're just waiting for our teams to update me. Rhaegar did not go Bloodlust Game 2. It was Ancestral, which did come in clutch. There were some really good Ancestrals throughout the game. Valerina wants some spicy picks. I can never turn down a spicy pick. Spicy picks are always fun from the caster's perspective. Maybe not from player's perspective, because you start panicking. Why are they picking Diva? What did we do wrong? How is this Diva going to destroy us? Alternatively, why is my teammate picking Diva? We're going to lose now. But from the caster's perspective, it's always fun to see crazy stuff coming out. So I would not be against that either. Alright.
Indubitably.
There we go. There's the sub
Now
notification.
Casting.
Imagine casting. Alright. Looks like we have one team ready. Just waiting on our other team. And then we can jump in. Alright, both teams ready. We're gonna be jumping in to our final map here. We'll see if the spicy picks come through as we get into game number 3 for our series here in Dive. We're on Volskaya Foundry. So very much a more team fight focused map, which looked really strong for Wholesome Halfwits in the first game, or in the second game, and looked really strong for Minion miners in the first game. So really, I don't know what we're gonna see here. We could see very similar drafts. We could see stuff switching up, and I think we are, because Minion miners finally able to get the first pick. They still want to ban out Anna, and that makes sense as we have seen G Money Drums picking up the Li Ming both games when able to. Zul gonna be the ban now from the Wholesome Halfwits. They're not first pick, so they're not even gonna risk it. They don't want to deal with it. Sylvanas now banned from the side of the Minion miners. I believe that was banned by the Wholesome Halfwits last match. So interesting seeing the first pick team denying it twice now, but definitely a hero that is worthy of being banned out, as she is potent both in team fights and is pushing, and the respect afforded to Marshall with the Ragnaros ban. Alright, first pick is in for Minion miners. They have the opportunity to go for the Johanna, which they will. I was going to say, or the Rhaegar, or any number of meta picks, but they value Johanna enough, and Westgrow's been performing pretty well, or not, continuously well on the hero. So they're going to continue to go for that. And I can't blame them. Even with the Falling Sword, they've been running the heavy melee comps and it's been working out for them. But looks like we're going to see stuff switch up here for our red team, as we're going to have Deckard picked up as well as Junkrat. So looking for poke and a lot of annoying disruption from the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. Not a very wholesome comp to play against, just from the looks of things. We don't even have a frontliner picked, and there's already a ton of CC. As we're going to see Ariel picked up, as well as Li Ming, so denying the comfort pick to G Money Drums. Going to be played by Marshall, who was our Rag player in the past few games. And then Ariel, the healer choice now. Lily had some good moments, but also had some struggles in the last game. So going to go for the hero, going for the Angel of Hope here. We'll have to see. Looks like Thrall going to be banned out. Not wanting for that to be, knowing that that's a comfort pick, not wanting that to come out again. Oh, looks like, I think I messed up the captain's hat. Must have had someone join. Luckily, it looks like they're fine with it. Gonna ban out ETC. My bad, Minion miners, if you're watching this back in the future. But gonna see the ETC ban. So lots of respect afforded here. Lots of focused bans based on the last few games. And I think rightfully so. We've seen strong play from these heroes, from these players throughout the series. So can't really go against that. But it's going to be Greymane now, picked up by G Money Drums. We'll have to see if that swaps around at all. And Muradin here, the tank choice for Dr. Jelly. Very aggressive tank pick, but that has been working out for them so far, and they have been very much liking the kind of sniper, just blow up one person comps, and Muradin definitely plays to that. Even with the Greymane pick, it looks like we're gonna get a cho'gall. Whoo! They heard the call for spice and they're bringing it. Alright. Well, chat, I hope you are happy, because I know I am. This is gonna be intense. The curse bullet is there, but with an Ariel, will it be enough? You have the potential for a resurrect or for a excuse me? Oh, Minion Miner says, we see you have your gray main, but that won't be enough. What are you going to do against this cho'gall? And Wholesome Halfwits says, oh, it's alright. We'll just play Gazlowe. Alright, well. Okay, I don't know what to say. I can't say I've seen Gazlowe picked in a competitive format ever. So, no, I actually, as I'm hitting the wrong button again, I have seen it once. I remember seeing, I think it was Leftovers played it in the 2018 HGC group stage, HGC Finals group stage. They played it in a match that didn't matter because they were guaranteed to be out and the other team was guaranteed to be out. And I think I saw, it was the other team that played the Gazlowe. And it was actually on this map as well, but otherwise, you know, not a pick you see. We'll have to see how it works out here as we're going to jump into this oh, it's late. We're going to jump into this final map here of our best of 3 series between Minion Miners and Wholesome Halfwits. Leading out the Minion Miners, we have Wesgra on Johanna, Marshall on Li Ming, Himibo and Bruther on the cho'gall, and Sir Mac of Cheese on Ariel. Against them is the Wholesome Halfwits bringing out the clamps. Malavial going to be giving them with Dr. Jelly on the Murden, Freckle Pants on Deckard, Crooked Smile on Junkrat, and G Money Drums taking over the Grey Main. Alright, I'm going to be honest, I'm not super familiar with my cho'gall builds. You'll have to tell me what you're thinking of the builds, as well as what you're thinking of these teams, as they're poking into each other pretty effectively here. Junkrat getting chunked pretty heavily, but going to be able to pick up a few potions and be just fine. As the Clamps, as I will fondly call him, is already rotating into the bottom lane, getting pushed in. Li Ming again being told to do the duty of dealing with that. As for the moment, the rest of the team just going to focus on rotating. Gazlowe actually potentially double soaking here. cho'gall though going to jump onto Malavial, put a little pressure on him, tell him to get away. Actually though, cho'gall taking quite a bit of damage from the turrets at the moment. Gazlowe, of course, very annoying if you are able to effectively control those turrets. Speaking of people getting damage put onto them, though, Johanna forced to back here in the top lane as turrets spawn, and cho'gall going to be the first to get onto it for their team. Alright, Marshall pushing in to the bottom lane here. Gonna try and not let Gazlowe just push in and avoid Dr. Jelly at the same time here, as Greymane already started the turret for his team. Ugh, had to stifle a sneeze there. Alright, we're 50-50 on who wins in this final map here. Chat, playing it safe, not certain. They see these picks and they don't know what to think either. So we'll see how it turns out, as we've got Clockwork Steam Fists here looking for the extra duration for the side of the Gazlowe here, as well as the potential cooldown reduction after 600 auto attacks there. Siege Camp already done for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits, not for the Minion Miners. That is one of the weaknesses of cho'gall, of course. You're down a body, and cho'gall himself not the best at macro. Can do camps pretty well, but we'll have to see if they're able to survive the kind of weak early game of cho'gall to make sure that they can get to the strong late game, or if they'll even struggle in the early game at all, or if they'll struggle in the late game. Who knows? I don't. We'll see. Johanna going ahead and started out the camp here, as we have what looks like a full magic missiles build starting out for Li Ming, going for the charged blast at level 4, something you don't see super commonly. Healing Beacon was aggroed shortly, but going to be left alone as Gazlowe allowed to set up his turrets on this objective. They will be able to put out a lot of punishment if they aren't taken care of throughout these fights. So watch to see what happens to those. Similar to the turret item, can be very dangerous if left alone, but for the moment, looks like the Minion Miners here are not even going to bother trying to fight over the objective. They just want to push for this fountain without it. That is going to be met with a rotation here as Westgra actually taking a ton of damage from the towers, but I don't think it's going to be in time. Himther on the cho'gall going to be able to finish out that fountain, and Junkrat being forced back. Dirty Trickster coming out, barely saving them, I think, just enough to zone them out so that Freckle Pants could get them with that heal. That being said, objective picked up for free by our red team here, the Wholesome Halfwits. It is an early objective, so we'll have to see how they're able to do with it as they're going to push into this cho'gall in the top lane. And it is the full magic missile build, and I guess getting results already as Gazlo falls in the bottom lane to our Li-Ming player here, Marsh Hold. Looking at hero damage, Junkrat putting out the most of it with the poke right now. Putting out a lot of siege as well as Li-Ming is matching him, as she's just been confined to the bottom lane this entire game. But yeah, a really strong defense in this top lane means that despite not being the ones to claim the objective, we're seeing Minion Miners with the lead. Key, thank you for coming in with the raid. We are in a very spicy third map here in this A West matchup between Minion Miners and Wholesome Halfwits, bringing out the cho'gall on the side of our blue team and the Gazlo for our red team. Hope that you guys had a wonderful series over at Key's channel, and I hope you'll stay around for this last map here, and then we'll send you off to some other channel. Make sure that you keep getting some of that great HOTS action. Turrets being picked up for both of these teams right now, as we're going to see a little bit of aggression coming out from Dr. Jelly. Himther on the cho'gall tries to pick up the turret, but they already had one, so not going to get anything. As Ariel going to be the one to ultimately pick up that turret instead. And now both teams just playing around the level 10, as it is going to come in barely first for our blue team, but of no matter really, as looks like Wholesome Halfwits with 10s, with the Cursed Bullet, confident, gonna try and fight over this this healing beacon. Ooh, a nice interrupt onto Crooked Smile, not able to get out his Riptire there. As Wesgra on the Johanna getting chunked as well after using the Falling Sword there. Healing Beacon used immediately, and that's going to mean really not much coming out of this team fight other than a bunch of cooldowns being blown. Let's look at those cooldowns as we have the Twilight Hammer for cho'gall, the Crystal Aegis for Ariel, Disintegrate for Li-Ming, Falling Sword for Johanna, and the Twisting Nether for Gall. Looking at our red team though, we're going to have the Riptire, Cursed Bullet, Avatar, the Robo Goblin, and Stay a While and Listen. Gonna try and put the blue team to sleep. Maybe chat too. Looks like a lot of pressure being put onto Li-Ming for the moment. Gazlo and Greymane just kind of daring her to step out. But in the top lane, pressure is being applied as well. cho'gall at level 10 now, able to put out a lot more damage, and with the CC coming in, gonna be able to punish Dr. Jelly there, and with the Falling Sword and the Twisting Nether, that's gonna be the kill onto the Muradin. Nice pickup there, but for the moment they are missing a decent bit of soak against this Greymane and Gazlo, the G boys. Not getting that much out of the kill. They poked down the fort a decent bit, but not able to get it, which I'm sure is what they would have liked to do. Now going to have to go ahead and soak up in this middle lane. Taking a look at the XP, Minions actually pretty even, only a few ahead here for our red team, as we did see the blue team kind of splitting out during the first objective. And really, yeah, looking pretty even on most things. The only real difference here being Mercenaries in favor of the Wholesome Halfwits, where we see Heroes in favor of the Minion Miners. Gall still highest damage for his team, whereas we see Junkrat again highest in the game by a hefty margin, poking so heavily. But speaking of heavy poke, Cursed Bullet showing why Greymane is a very powerful pick against this cho'gall, popping him down to below half health there for basically free. We have only 15 seconds left on the cooldown already. of the overall 30-second cooldown there. 13's coming in for both of these teams. Going to be Glass Cannon for Li Ming, so looking to stay in the back and just be really gross with that aggression. We do have Junkrat going for the more trap-focused build. Did elect to not go for the zoning or homing traps at 4 with the Chattering Teeth, but it looks like maybe Minion Miners are willing to just give up this objective. It's up to 90%, and Johanna's going to step on now, but it's a little bit risky. It's at 99% now, and Johanna Westgrout all alone. cho'gall going to dive into the back, hit by the Cursed Bullet, going to use the stasis there to avoid some of the CC, and a huge shifting nether going to come out, but going to be 1-for-1 now as Gazlo falls as well as Johanna. Turret being dropped for the blue team, as well as I believe stealing a turret there potentially. So currently 1 turret up for each side in an even trade, but that definitely favors the side of our Wholesome Halfwits as they're able to come back onto this with 99%. Just need 1 fight to get onto that objective. Something very important about that fight, which was kind of what I was expecting here from looking at these teams, is pretty much everything had to be used on the cho'gall, so Cho himself wasn't really able to do much during the fight. Had to use the stasis immediately, and then as soon as he got out, Crystal Aegis came out. So I mean, they traded it evenly, so not horrible, but if cho'gall is continually forced to have half of themselves stasis, that could prove to be a real problem here in later team fights. For the moment, though, we're going to be watching as the Minion Miners try to force on. We see Ancient Blessings popped by Deckard, going to give them a lot more damage and self-sustain, but Crooked Smile already very low, and cho'gall trying to do as much damage here as he can. Shifting Nether comes out, gets Dr. Jelly down to below 30 health. Going to be able to step back, though, and get out thanks to the excellent zoning from Deckard Cain with the Stay a While and Listen. Goes back in, pops the Avatar. Himper is very low on the cho'gall, and Riptire comes out with so many members low on both sides. Ooh, the Twilight Hammer, perfect to deny the Riptire, and both teams just chunking into each other so heavily. But it looks like Johanna potentially going to be first blood in this fight. Greymane traded out, and Dr. Jelly falls on the Muradin. 2-for-1 so far, with Li Ming having to back up. And it's just Ariel and cho'gall against the world. But for how long is cho'gall getting pretty low here, not able to sustain super heavily against this Gazlo, whose turrets are poking very effectively. But with that kill, it looks like objective going to be going to the side of the Minion Miners, and even looking for another kill onto Crooked Smile. But with the Ancient Blessings, going to be able to save himself there. Well played by Freckle Pants on the Deckard, keeping this team alive even when he doesn't have mana. Alright, after that fight, looking at the damage, Junkrat still highest in the game, but you can see that Gall has jumped so much since just before that objective, pretty much doubling his hero damage. And now there is a slight XP lead here, especially looking at the 16 talents which they currently have in their advantage. That'll allow them to push in. They took the top fort, took some good damage in the mid lane, and now going to be focusing onto this bottom lane, using the laser there to make sure that the well falls. And a generally pretty healthy Protector going to be able to push in onto this onto this fort. And only Marshall really the one who has to worry about themselves here, is cho'gall and Ariel all going to be able to fit into the objective here, and Westgrout on the Johanna not super susceptible, because actually it's Muradin who's getting low for the moment. Gazlo pushing out the lanes all in the meanwhile, just trying to get some pressure for his own team, as this Triglav is going to fall here pretty shortly with only a few seconds. Robo-Goblin popped to escape the Johanna, who went for the Falling Sword, but that's just going to be an exchange of cooldowns for nothing for either side, really. Dr. Jelly looking for the aggression, but not quite able to find it. We do have the safety in numbers coming out for Deckard, so looking for grouping up with his team to get a lot of value onto his trait there. We'll have to see how that works out for him, as we have the Endless Nades for Junkrat, so confident in his split build here. He has gone for the grenade stacking quest at 4, which he has been stacking very well, 116 on that, which is going to be caster math. let's see. So that's gonna be a decent amount. I can't do caster math. I'm horrible at, like, I don't know. That town specifically, pretty hard, but looking pretty good for the Junkrat so far. I believe he's at around 22%. As a full combo there coming out from Li Ming, gonna get our red team very low, and Crooked Smile caught on the conveyor belts, but Dr. Jelly is the first to fall. Wesgra on top of Junkrat gets taken out, and that's 2-0 out of nowhere, really. And with Seeker, gonna push in here a little bit, even going for Fireflies just to try and proc that Seeker a little bit more. Meanwhile, Malaviel on the Gazlo is just being a pain and pushing in across the map. Johanna gonna be the one sent to clear out in the top lane, but all forts down for the Wholesome Halfwits. They won the first objective but haven't been able to come back, even with the Cursed Bullet, to deal with the cho'gall. And now we're looking at potentially a level 20 lead here for part of this objective, which should be spawning soon, and that is an issue for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits. Having to give up a large percentage of the objective will be really derogatory for them if they aren't able to get that 20 in time here. And it looks like that will be 20 coming in just momentarily here. About a level and a quarter lead for our blue team. We do see the completion onto the level 4 quest there for Malaviel on his Gazlo. That's going to allow him to put out even more turrets here, getting charges back much quicker. But will it be enough as level 20s are in? We have the Cthulhu's Gift looking for the ranged auto attack, which will also be slowing. We have the Shield of Hope, the Talrash's Elements, so looking to combo abilities, get some really big burst out of this Li Ming, especially with the Glass Cannon. Of course, the Heaven's Fury, and then Gall. Currently a mystery. We'll find out. Greymane and Murden looking to rotate up into the top lane and take a fort, but with that being scouted out, the Minion Miners are just going to take this extra turret for themselves. Thank you very much. This is a win condition potentially opened up for the side of the Wholesome Halfwits, so I don't hate it, but the rest of the team does need to be careful, and with the blink snap picked in for cho'gall, that's going to be the kill onto Malaviel, and that all but guarantees this objective for the Minion Miners. And backing, actually, not even going for this healing beacon as they're there. They're more afraid for their keep, and that makes sense because Li Ming is no joke with Seeker, able to siege in pretty effectively here. You can see how quickly this keep is falling. And, oh, actually going for the healing beacon there. Mia not paying good enough attention, apparently, but this is a pretty late game protector. Gazlo down for 30 more seconds, and they're pushing right into core here. Definitely need to be careful from the side of the Wholesome Halfwits, but they do luckily have their level 20s in. Looking at the extra oomph for the resets, Hunter's Blunderbuss, Rewind, the It's Raining Scrap, getting the extra cooldown reduction in mana for Gazlo, and the Respect the Elderly coming in. That being said, not much chunk coming out onto this protector yet. Focus instead going onto the Ariel. Sir Mac of Cheese will fall, but is it going to be enough as this protector is chunking the core? And no, it won't be. That is game number 3 and the series going to the Minion Miners. GG. Alright, great play there from both teams, but in the end, cho'gall trumps Gazlo, and that's a result I can't disagree with. I was very nervous with the Gazlo pick, and I think it didn't really get that much value for them. I like the idea. He's able to set up on points and get that kind of defensive posturing that you want to look for, but inevitably not able to get the value that they wanted, not able to push in with it. And the series will be going in favor of the Minion Miners. I'll go ahead and reach out to Marshall here, see if we can get an interview with them before we close out for the night. All right. Hopefully, should be getting an interview here with one of the Minion miners any moment now. But yeah, a very exciting series, lots of spice, and really well played from both sides. Love to see high-level play here coming in, as we're going to be joined by some of the members of the Minion miners.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
What's up?
We're doing good. Doing well. Sorry.
All right. Well, you guys, that was a intense series. I know you guys have obviously been around for a while, so let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and also about your history with your opponents here, the Wholesome Halfwits.
Okay, so let me just say this. Bruther was not on the team back in Season 5. Season 5, Dr. Jelly was, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I should know by now. But Season 5, he was on this team called Gimme the D Shield in Division C. And we absolutely hated their team. Like, we despised them. But Dr. Jelly went to another team, and now they started the Wholesome Halfwits, like, after that season at some point. And I've been on Minion Miner since Season 5. Bruther joined Season 7 when we were Division B East, and then we were Division A last year.
I did not. I started Bronze 5.
Anyway, there's a whole background. I just want to say I love Dr. Jelly. He's casted our game, one of our games before. I love their team. Their picks are awesome. And none of the hate from Gimme the D Shield is there, but there's a little background. And yeah, there you go. That's the history. You wanted it. You got it.
Awesome. Well, you guys had a great series, back and forth for sure. So going into Game 1, you definitely had a game plan. Were you surprised at all by the sniper comp with the Judgment, the Planet Cracker? What were your feelings about that?
Go ahead.
Pretty sure we were just prepared for anything. We had nothing. We didn't even think about what they were gonna do. We picked everything. We were like, we could switch with anybody right now. You can play throw. You can play throw. It didn't even matter.
But I will say this: I definitely wasn't expecting the Judgment blow up wombo combo that they were going for, and it definitely paid off at least one or two times that I can think of. Where I think, you know, it's a known, you know, strategy, you know, Judgment and body slam, and then you Planet Cracker all at the same time. But unfortunately, with the earthquake that we had that game, I don't think that they could really approach the team. Like I was playing Rainer that game, and I didn't have to press my E like ever because they had so much to go through to get to us.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like outside of maybe rotating on someone overextended in lane, you guys were dominant for that entire game. So let's move on to Game 2. You went for basically the same comp, except you went for a Lily. So tell me about the Lily pick. Is that just a comfort? Is that some cheesy strats there? What was the thoughts?
Didn't we have a different plan?
Two things. One is we had double blinds for the Zool. We thought that might help. Obviously, that's not where all of Zool's damage comes from. A lot of it comes from the Skeletal Warriors ever since they made those changes. That's part of why he's so strong. But also, we just like Lily and Water Dragon, and mostly what happens is whenever we use Water Dragon, everybody just starts screaming Water Dragon at the same time, and that's basically our strategy for winning games.
I was supposed to go Karazim too.
Yeah, we were thinking about maybe pulling a double healer there to supplement
the
Lily, but we thought the Thrall was just too strong there, and honestly,
there you did it. You guys talked me into a different pick. You remember we talked about this?
I know. We did, yeah. We often do this. We talk Bruther out of his choice.
They don't trust my gut.
Paying for it. I know.
Yeah, they should trust, or you should trust his gut more, because his gut knew he wouldn't finish Maelstrom Weapon. So.
Oh my god! I don't know. I had myself imagining like trading so much more often with that Zool, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. All right.
Lucky.
Let's move on to Game 3. Was the cho'gall planned from the start? That's really my main question here. I just want to know how long was the cho'gall planned. All right.
Before Game 1.
Ooh.
Yeah, we came in here because we knew that we had to bring the
He was on the menu.
I just gotta say, cho'gall, is always on the menu. There's
Doesn't
never
matter
a
what
time
map.
cho'gall is not on the menu.
Great. Always good to hear that. It was pretty fun for us. Chat was during the break. I was like, chat, what do you want to see this match? And they were all saying we just want to see Spice, and we saw cho'gall, we saw Gazlo. Excellent series, you guys. Before you go, I want to ask one more question, and then I'll give you time for shoutouts. If you had to give someone on your team, on the other team, really just any team, if you had to give one person MVP for this series, who's it going to be?
That is a good question. Well, I will say that I would like to give it to Dr. Jelly, personally, because first and foremost, you never see judgment in any of these games.
That's
And he has such a positive attitude, too. You know, those sort of things. It's kind of it's a silly thing to say, but I really appreciate it. So there you go. That's my MVP.
I respect that. Bruther, you have a pick?
Or I give it to Marshall, you know, because while we were all bot, he was getting nothing top, you know. So I'm just kidding. Never mind. That's a little inside, you know, Spice joke.
We got to
course.
flame him a little bit, you know, for not doing enough on the opposite side of the map.
Exactly. We've all been there. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. That was an excellent series. One of the most fun I've casted probably ever so far. The floor is yours for any shoutouts.
My headphones went up. I sounded like you said shoutouts. Is that right?
Yep. Go ahead.
That's what he said.
Okay. Shoutouts to you. Thank you so much for the cast. It's always, I mean, part of the reason why I really like NGS and amateur leagues is, but specifically this league is all the really awesome casters. It makes it so fun to go back and look and listen to what was being said and review from a third-party perspective, you know, watching us. It's just super fun. So really can't say enough. And thanks to Wholesome Halfwits. Those guys are awesome. And yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Bruther. You have any?
I got nothing. You guys get on your way.
All right. Well, you guys have a good one. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. That's it for tonight. That's all we got. That's the series. I'm going to go ahead and get us ready for a raid. But thank you, everyone, as I was saying, for coming out. Hope you enjoyed as much as I did. We saw cho'gall, we saw Gazlo, we saw Lily. We saw everything tonight. I'm going to go ahead and raid you over to a good friend, Murda. He's starting out a series here in Heroic here. We got Quarantine versus Deathwing's Hookah Lounge. So go ahead, show him some love, and catch you all another time.